Hi, Jaboukie. How are you?
Hey, I'm good. How are you?
Doing great. To start, you get to kind of be the audience in this movie and have the best little one-liners to the situation. And so, for you as an actor, how much fun is it to get to just be that kind of audience viewpoint and our perspective throughout this?
It's so much fun because I get to just be present with whatever is happening in
Mhm.
front of me and just react honestly, like, you guys are being crazy. Like, this is ridiculous. You're insane. You're wrong. She's right. I, I love watching movies in theater, but I also love watching them at home because I am a talker. I do love talking to the screen. I'm obsessed with it. I don't do it in the theater, but when someone else does it, I die. Oh my God.
Mhm.
There was a really funny one when I was watching Sinners that still sticks with me, where like he was offering to go down on her and she's like, no, no, stop. Like I walked here, like I need to freshen up. And he was like, I don't care. And someone in the back of the theater was like, in 1930? And I died. I still think about it to this day.
That happened with me during a trailer for Batman versus Superman. Some
Yeah.
guy was like, "You're going to tell me he blocked Superman's punch," and he said it out loud, and we all were thinking it, and it was just like one of those moments where we were like,
Okay, I think that there should be screenings where that's allowed.
"Yeah, it'd be so much fun to just
Yes,
hear
yeah,
what other
like
people think."
this one's a talker. Like you guys can just shout during this one.
Well, one of my favorite parts about this movie is like you do end up just everywhere because this guy's like, well, I'm bringing my best friend, like whatever, he has to come with me, even though I messed up and now have two baby mamas at the same time. When you are, they tell you, okay, you're sitting in the back seat and you're just like looming over. How much is that you getting to have a little bit of fun versus like what is actually like given to you as a direction?
It's a little bit of both. I think the direction kind of was to have fun and just go with it, and Chad was really open to whatever I was bringing to a scene. And I also think the other great part about working with him was I trusted him to edit out stuff that was not funny or not
Mhm.
working. So I was able to make just like big swings because I was like, I trust his taste. If it doesn't land, he'll not use that take. And he did it. So thank you, Chad.
Well, and I do love that this movie is kind of like you're very online, like myself. There was that meme a while ago that was like, oh, like what's called Eartha Kitt dream threesome. And thinking about that and like this is like it gone wrong.
Yeah.
It's like the worst possible outcome for that situation. And so, as somebody who you know how people react to things, you know how people are. What are you the most excited for those people to react to within this movie?
Ooh, I don't want to give anything away, but I think the thing I'm most excited for people to react to is just the decision making, you know,
Hmm.
like them really walking through the all the will they won't theys of it all. I think that's the most exciting part.
Yeah, it's the best kind of weird will they, won't they? Like,
Yeah.
we're going on the journey. Well, thank you so much for talking with me. I really like this movie back at South by, and I can't wait for everyone else to get to see it.
Thanks, Rachel.
Of course, have a great one. Hi, Chad. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Doing great. So I love how this is kind of taking some of like the beats and things that we love in a rom-com and making it kind of just that much weirder and out of left field. And when you're directing something like that and people expect certain points with a rom-com, what for you is the most fun about getting to kind of change those expectations?
Well, it's been very, very gratifying to watch with people because you don't always know if people, how much people want those expectations broken. I mean, the reason we love formulaic rom-coms is because deep down we do love that formula. And it is fun seeing the meet cutes. It is fun seeing the fights and the making up. And so, on the one hand, it's very exciting to try and do something different, but on the other hand, it's like a little nerve-wracking too. But watching this with crowds and seeing how genuinely like surprised they are when certain things happen and hear some gasps and really feel people going on the journey has been very rewarding.
When you get to have very kind of fun characters because you have a man who's trying, and
Hmm.
that's always fun to see a guy who at least tries. And then you have two women who are like, one just was like, oh, this guy likes me, cool. And another one who's not being honest with herself. And when you have those three very distinct kind of people in one love triangle, what was for you was the biggest challenge of making sure that they each got the time that they needed to like shine so they were all on an even playing field?
I mean, exactly that. Just making sure that everyone felt real and that at different times, or depending on your mood or your point of view, you could feel exactly why each character was doing what they were doing. I never wanted it to feel obvious that someone was in the wrong or someone was winning an argument. It always was important that it felt like understandable why this person's upset, understandable why the person did what they did. And so that's very tricky, both in the writing that Ethan did a really good job with, and then in the performances and in the editing. And then also the rough cut of the movie was 2 hours and 25 minutes long. And so we had to cut so much to get it to a manageable length that then the concern became like you're chipping away at the characters, you're chipping away at the deepening of their reasons and their motivations. And so every time you cut some little thing, making sure that it didn't have an imbalancing effect.
Yeah, and then luckily you didn't chip away from one of the best parts, which was Jaboukie as basically the audience.
Yeah.
He gets to just be in the background and be like, LOL, this is funny because that's what we're all feeling.
Mm-hmm.
Was that your guys' intention from the writing process into the filming to like have a character like that kind of just call out those things for the
Yes.
audience?
And that's sort of like maybe one trope that we definitely lean into is that you got to have the best friend who's there to just be making a mockery of everything. And sadly, we did have to cut some Jaboukie, and there's like even better good stuff that maybe if there's a DVD, you can get to see more. But yeah, that was definitely, it's comic relief, but it's also having someone there to have a more 5,000 feet view of how ridiculous everything is.
Yeah, and for a last quick thing, I want to ask, you said you saw it with audiences. It was at South by, and those audiences are always just crazy. What for you is the most exciting part about it coming out and people getting to see it, and what do you hope that they react to the loudest?
I mean, it's just I'm so proud of everybody's work on it, and I think that Zoey and Jonah and Ruby all do amazing performances that I can't wait for people to see, and Sing cinematography and Autumn's editing. I'm just like very proud of the collaborators and all the work that they did, and finally getting to celebrate that. And I mean, it's always a little bit of a tiny spoiler, but in the end of the movie, when Zoey and Ruby have a scene together, and Zoey says, "Hey, remember that time we had sex?" That usually gets a good laugh, and to me, that's very vindicating because it's like sort of a line that reminds the audience of the journey that we've been on. And by that time in the movie, you really have forgotten how it started. And like the beginning of the movie feels tonally so different from the end of it, but you've gone on this long journey. And then when she reminds Ruby / the audience and they laugh about it, that feels to me like a reminder. It makes me feel like we've successfully taken you on the journey.
Yeah, well, I can't wait for everyone to get to see the movie, and so thank you so much for talking with me today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Hi guys, how are you?
Hey, how are you?
Good,
I'm
thank
doing
you.
great. To start, I wanted to start with both you, Zoey and Ruby. You both have been part of weirdish rom-coms, like rom-coms that have made the genre something a little bit more fun, and then this takes that a whole nother step further. So I wanted to ask both of you, when you're making these movies that have that like classic rom-com edge but get to have a little bit more fun with it, what for you is the most exciting part about making those little changes to the genre that people kind of always go to as a comfort?
Yeah. Gosh. Well,
This
I
was
don't
the
really,
first
I
one?
don't even consider this a rom-com, but it is romantic and there is comedy. So you're right and I'm wrong. I don't think there's anything more interesting in the world other than maybe like dogs, than watching two people fall in love with each other, or three or four or whatever. But it's just it's just beautiful, and it's complicated, and it's really scary and intense to fall in love, and it's deeply entertaining. And those stories, and as we know, falling in love, it's never the same, right? Every single time it's different. And that's what's beautiful about it. And this one definitely had a different spin to it. And it's not like I'm setting out personally to change the genre or whatever. I just was drawn to this material, and I feel really lucky that I got to be a part of it.
Yeah, and Ruby, I heard you say that you thought this was your first. I consider Bottoms a weird rom-com.
You do? I like
do.
that take.
So
I
I was like, this feels like a continuation of like rom-coms, that slightly weirder rom-coms.
I guess there's a love story going on underneath Bottoms, but I do feel like the whole time I was filming it, I feel like that was realized at the end. Once I saw the whole story play out, and I feel like with my character in Bottoms, it was like there was not a scent of me like realizing the feelings that were developing between my character and Rachel's. But I guess, yeah, in the threesome, I guess we could put them both, because Bottoms is called Bottoms and Threesome is called the Threesome, and they both sound like a different type of movie.
Yeah, that is so true. Just you have to do a third, so then it's a complete trilogy.
True.
Slightly off.
Yeah.
Titles for movies. Jonah, you join a list of guys in cinema where I'm like, they're trying really hard, and I gotta give them the props because they're trying. When you are playing a character who is, just a dude who like he made a mistake and he's trying his best in the situation he found himself in, what for you is the most fun about like kind of diving into that kind of guy and figuring out where his like maybe his breaking point is or whatever about him?
Yeah, it's an interesting one because like he makes mistakes along the way, and there's a messiness to him, and I think he doesn't necessarily deal with the situation that comes about particularly well. But it always, like you said, it always feels like he's trying to do the right thing, messing it up, but then learning from that situation. I think that to me makes him more appealing than he would otherwise be, because he has a degree of self-awareness, and I think is reflective enough to know where he's messed up and where he needs to take accountability. And other times where, maybe it wasn't his fault, or it was an unlucky thing that has happened, but also still needs to take accountability. So yeah, I found him to be quite an intriguing guy, like a character study in and of itself. And then you put him in this kind of bizarre situation, and watching how he deals with that is one of the reasons that drew me to the project. I thought that seemed that seemed like something interesting to dive into.
Well, and I wanted to ask you, Zoe, because you get to represent what I feel like is a lot of people's fear, which is like they're not honest with themselves, and then the thing that they want ends up just being gone by the time they want to be honest with themselves and others around them. When you're exploring those emotions as an actor, is it cathartic or is it kind of daunting because you know that those are like feelings that all of us have experienced at some point or another in our lives?
It's what makes the job very special, is that it's always putting things in front of you that maybe you don't or wouldn't deal with otherwise. So at one point or another, you're always sort of looking at something and going, wait, and that can be challenging, but also really healing and really wonderful. And I already talked about this before, but I feel like a lot of what I was thinking about while making the movie and with her is this idea of like, what's the feeling about the feeling? Like when you can get past the shame, what's really going on? And that's a universally shared female experience. To have to like break through these yeah, feelings of shame. Obviously this is a very specific example in a very particular situation, but I guess, so I don't know, I guess daunting maybe, but also a fun opportunity to grow and look inwards and learn about myself.
Yeah. Well, I loved this back at South by. This is all the time I have, but I love all of your guys' work. All three of you are so much fun to get to see on screen, and then it just made this movie so much better. So thank you guys for talking with me today. I really appreciate it.
Thank
Great.
you.
Thanks,
Great for your
Rachel.
questions.
Have a great
Thank you
one.
so much.
Thanks.